couple weeks ago I asked you guys and you voted. So now we've got a Garratt. Let's check her out. Hey guys, welcome back to Proper Chuffed. My name is Hilton and I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing, but that's half the fun of this, isn't it? If you are new here, welcome to the channel. I hope you enjoy this content, and if you do, please consider subscribing. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back guys. It's good to see you again. So it's been a minute since I uploaded my last video. Unfortunately, this time of year usually for me is very, very busy in terms of work. So finding time to do model railroading is not easy, but I do make a plan where I can. And I'm also subject to load shedding. For those of you who don't know, load shedding is a series of continuous blackouts that South Africa has been facing for the past 15 to 20 years, I guess. What it means is that 6 to 10 hours of our days are spent in the dark without power. And as you can imagine, model railroading in a room that has no windows when the lights are off is pretty difficult. So I make a plan where I can. I have done a couple things on the layout and I'm looking forward to sharing them with you. Hopefully as we come into December now, we'll probably see a little bit less load shedding ideally, and be able to do a couple more things on the layout. So yeah, basically just finding time to do YouTube has proven a little bit more difficult of late. But let's get on to the subject of today's video. I've managed to pick up a GMAM LMS Garratt from Heljan. I was really excited when I saw this loco. I reached out to a small model shop in Cape Town and the owner got back to me very quickly on WhatsApp and sort of shared a couple photos of stuff. And one of the things he had there was a mallard, an A4 mallard, and the other, as soon as I saw it, I knew I needed it, was this LMS Garratt. At a ridiculous price point. So I actually put it up on YouTube as a vote for my community, and I think an overwhelming number of you voted for the Garratt. So that was a no-brainer. I picked up the Garratt and I've got it in my hands now, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with you because Garratts are kind of like very well entrenched in South African railways history. I, as a kid growing up and learning about steam locomotives and trains, was enamored with Garratts just because they were such weird looking things, and they obviously were on our lines for, a very large portion of our railway history. So I was excited to get one. I'd love to get a South African Garratt, but they are unfortunately very, very pricey. I think they come in at about £1,300 from Precision Miniatures, who picked up the license from DJH, I believe. So while it's possible to get one, I'm not spending that kind of money on a Garratt. This one from Heljan, I managed to pick up for roughly £90. And I know that's probably mind-blowing to you guys in the UK. It's a very weird thing in South Africa. A lot of you have pointed it out, the fact that I pick up locos at such cheap prices. It seems like we don't put a lot of value behind English stuff in this country. I mean, you should see the price of Lima train sets that are South African Railways based. It's exorbitant. And it's Lima, like for Pete's sakes. Lima's not known exactly for their quality, but just because I think there's a nostalgic factor to that, Lima fetches an incredibly high price here, which is just mind-boggling. As well as, the German stuff, Marklin, Trix, Flashman, that sort of stuff is quite well valued, and there also seems to be quite a large American model railroading community here. Anyways, I digress. The point is, I've picked up a Garratt, and just something quite cool I thought I'd share with you is I managed to pick up this sort of loco plate the other day at a country market, and I thought it was quite cool and quite fitting, and it would look quite nice in the room here. So this is a GMAM plate. It's not authentic, it is actually made from wood, but it looks good enough on a wall, I think, and quite fitting considering today's subject. Anyways, without further ado, let's dive into the Heljan LMS GMAM Garratt. So here we are. this is the Heljan Garrat. Very exciting stuff, I must say. This is probably one of the newer models that I've picked up so far, and I'm ecstatic about it. The fact that it's DCC ready is brilliant, as it does mean that should I decide to go DCC, this will be capable of doing so. Just taking a look at this little booklet that comes with it here, you can see that there are a number of variants that Heljan have produced. The one that I got is, and I didn't have much of an option in this, is the lightly weathered version of it. Hopefully that focuses for you there. And that's the product number there, 266210, and it's super exciting, guys. This is something that I didn't sort of plan on, but when I saw it, I knew immediately that it needed to be part of my sort of ever-growing and expanding collection. Anyway, so I'm going to unbox this quickly, and we'll take a look at the logo in a little bit more detail. I mean, this, as I'm opening it up now, feels incredibly premium. I think that the level of quality here, look, compared to what I'm used to, is, you know, through the roof in so many regards. Okay, there are a number of sort of separately fitted detail packs that come with this. Looks like some NEM couplers. That's quite cute. There's some spades and sort of stokers, I'm guessing, and not quite sure what these are, but all need to be fitted. And interestingly enough, you know, obviously the previous owner didn't deem necessary to do so, which is quite interesting, which makes it feel a little bit more new, which is quite nice. Pop this open. Cool, and there she is, in all of her glory. What a stunning locomotive, and what a special locomotive too, really. Something totally unique. Whether or not she handles the curves and the radiuses on my ever-expanding layout remains to be seen, but you know, even if you were to buy this as just a display piece, I think you'd be very happy with your money well spent on this. I understand that you'd probably be spending a bit more over there in the UK, but regardless, here we are. Let's take a look. So here she is in all her glory, my LMS Garratt from Heljan. This is a big locomotive. I reckon probably about 40 centimeters or so long, end to end. She's got a rotating coal bunker. There were versions of it that came without that. I believe the rotating coal bunkers were put in 3 of the units, just to hopefully reduce the amount of smoke that was, dust that was coming into the cab. Not that it was super effective, a novel idea, however, and this is the unit that we have. So her running number is 47971, and she's one of 3 with that rotating coal bunker. Now, unfortunately, no Garratts, LMS Garratts made it into preservation, sadly, although they did serve up until I believe the end of the 50s or so. And very unique locomotives. I'm used to seeing Garratts with a headlamp on the front of them. This one doesn't have that. I'm in fact going to just dive into a little bit more detail shortly, but as a quick overview of the locomotive, we've got the leading tender here, which I believe is the water tender. Beautiful gearing. This is the lightly weathered version, and it doesn't have, it looks like there's a bit of grime on here, which is quite nice. Just adds a little bit more detail there. But it is overall pretty clean. I would hardly call this lightly weathered, to be honest with you. On the rear here, also same thing with the gearing. It's a really solid thing. It feels like it weighs an absolute ton, and I'm very impressed by that. There is a degree of detail inside the cab, which is fantastic. Unfortunately, because of the rotating coal bunker, you can't really see that detail, but it's fine. It's not too much of an issue. fitted headlamps, which I believe have lights on them, which is really cool. I'm not going to try and pick this up and angle it at the camera and show you, simply because it's far too precarious. Fortunately, the whole thing actually does separate. It is magnetic, and you can actually separate the front and rear tenders, which is fantastic, should you need to get inside it. Access to the DCC port is done underneath here, in this middle section, just below the smoke box, the firebox. So if you do need to fit DCC, you can do so there. Again, I don't want to just kind of pick it up and turn it around. Just a little bit cautious with this one. So I think what would be easier is if I give you a little bit more history on these LMS Garratts, as well as taking a closer look at the model itself. So let's switch on the lights and take a look. In the early 1920s, the LMS were looking at the operation of their coal services between the Midlands coalfields and London. Their problem was replacing two single 060 steam locomotives with a more efficient single power source. After looking at single large locos with many connected driving wheels, the board approached Beyer Peacock to inquire about one of their new Garratt locomotives, then being exported across the world. Beyer Peacock came back with a design of 262, which was initially accepted by George Hughes, but then refined when Henry Fowler took over as chief mechanical engineer. He changed the design to a 260-062, which had been suggested to Beyer Peacock, but they had advised against it for reasons of weight distribution, and also amended many small changes and design features to standardize with other LMS locomotives. Most of these changes were advised against by Beyer Peacock, but Fowler refused to back down. This resulted in a locomotive that had shortcomings that should not have been present if superior advice had been followed. An initial 3 locomotives were introduced in 1927 and were deemed a success, so 30 more were delivered in 1930 to a slightly revised design, modelled here. They were used between Towton and Brent on heavy coal trains, replacing double-headed formations and bettering their performance in many respects. One of the main problems was poor coal trimming, leading to firemen having to clamber into the bunker to retrieve coal. A coal pusher was tried but was not a success. However, a rocking bunker proved adequate to bring coal to the front of the coal space on 4986, so a fleet-wide fitting was actioned in 1931 and 1932. The locos proved their worth and passed through to BR working the same trains they were designed for, although crews did not care for the hot and dusty cabs, and lasted until 1957, to be replaced by the BR standard 9Fs on the Towton coal routes. So there you go, guys. That is Heljan's LMS Garratt. I am over the moon with this. I think it is freaking awesome. The size alone is, this is probably the biggest loco I will ever own, unless I were to maybe get a big boy one day. I think everyone wants a big boy, but I don't see a point of it on my layout plans, but a nice thing to own. Anyways, I digress. If you look at this loco in closer detail, which I've tried to capture, and I hope you enjoyed that, you can see that there is a lot of separately fitted parts here. The handrails on the cab, unfortunately, on both sides, one of the handrails has kind of come off, just from its mounting point at the bottom of the footplate. I'll need to fix that up, obviously, but other than that, it's pristine, honestly. For a second-hand loco, there's nothing else damaged on here. Nothing seems to be missing or has not been fitted correctly, so I am over the moon with it. The gear is very, very complicated on both sides, and the fact that it runs and as smoothly as it does, which you'll see now, is really, really impressive. It's such a weighty loco, and I think you really are getting what you pay for with this locomotive. The fact that it also does come with a speaker inside, obviously all that's needed to be done on your side is to add decoder and sync it all up. That's fantastic. And once I get to DCC one day, it'll be nice to do that. But yeah, let's put her under power. The layout has been updated. I've included a second line now next to the express line, so the corners are a little bit tighter, but if she can handle the outer line, That's good enough for me, but I'd like to test her on the inner line too, just to see what happens. Anyways, let's put her under power and see what she does. I mean, look at that. Look at that crawl. That's impressive. I mean, that's on DC power. That is really impressive. Pick up a little speed. Oh, she's stunning and silent, completely silent. I'm really, really happy with that. Proper chuffed. There you go, guys. That's the LMS Garratt by Heljan. I've not actually had a lot of experience with Heljan other than watching obviously YouTube reviews or stuff on their locomotives. I know that they seem to sort of blow hot and cold, but for me, as a very inexperienced model railroader, I will say that I am incredibly impressed with this Garratt. I can imagine that there was a lot of R&D that went into creating something like this. You're essentially building two locomotives in one and making it all functional together. And I can't imagine that's very easy. So from what I've seen in terms of weight, detail, length, just overall quality, really, really impressive. So 2 thumbs way up from me. If you are considering getting one, it's definitely worth it in my books. I need to still add the NEM couplers and stuff to it so that I can pull some freight with it. I didn't want to do that just yet. I'd rather just kind of test it out, make sure it runs all right before anything else, but I'll get around to that very soon. On the layout side, I've actually managed to create my second line along the express line, so that's been done. I've also created my small sort of like siding slash fiddle yard. It's not a fiddle yard per se because it's not really large enough to be a fiddle yard. I don't really have the space for something like that. So I'm essentially letting my loco depot and this small little section just do the work of that in the interim. Then the other thing I've done is, with Rinka's help, we've kind of put together a bridge. We took essentially 3 bridge kits, smashed them all up together and painted it with that sort of red iron oxide. So it is primed and ready for some weathering once we get to that section of the layout. But not just yet. I think first things first, we'll probably be tackling the rest of the layout in terms of the base level. And then we'll sort of slowly start climbing up towards the distillery from there. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video this week, give me a thumbs up. This is probably my biggest loco to date and probably the most exciting one. So, you know, if you did enjoy this video, please let me know in the comments. Love to chat to you guys all the time. It's always fantastic. Until the next one, keep your engines fired and stay on track. All the best.